how do I take this product and repeat across thousands of customers, right? And that is the real journey, right? Key thing is always to start with the purpose and why, what, how should be answered to build any kind of a product that really impacts the customer's life. The technology is always a byproduct. It's a vehicle, but it's not the driver.
Hello and welcome to another fantastic episode of Pitch Cafe podcast. Today on our show, we have a very successful three-time successful exit entrepreneur. And I would say he's one of the most accomplished peers in my community because he's got this Midas Touch. Any startup he works on as a co-founder or a founder, it gets a really good exit, and he's always thinking about the next one or two startups to work on. Today, he holds a very senior level position in the technology field, in the AI domain, but he's also conjuring up two stealth mode startups which have already raised about $7 million. So he's on his fourth startup. I don't know what to say. I can just say I'm amazed. And to me, the reason I have him on the podcast here today is because of one conversation I had with him over coffee. I was thinking about doing an AI application, and he said that just focus on the problem. It's not about learning AI. It's not about the technology. It's about the problem. He picked my problem. He dissected it. He told me exactly how to go about. He said, just go there and do it, and you'll just figure it out. That was the most inspiring advice I got from him. And his advice opened many doors to me. So he's a peer here in Silicon Valley, and his name is Arvind Rapaka. Today, he is in the VP level position in a startup called Dragonfruit AI. But before that, he's headed artificial intelligence unit at Nextdoor, a very popular startup here, which is breaking ground rules of community-enabled startups in Silicon Valley. And he's had two successful AI startup exits before that. And he's also worked for big labels like Yahoo and Answers. So without further ado, let's bring on Arvind Rapaka. Hello, Arvind. Welcome to Pitch Cafe.
I'm super excited about it, but very thank you for a very generous introduction. Yeah.
Awesome. Arvind, let's start with your amazing journey. You've had like 3 successful exits, and you're a self-made AI expert. So, who is exactly and you've had 3 successful like marathon exits, one after another, and you're the fourth one. Who is the man behind this Midas Touch? Who is the person driving all this magic? Who is Arvind Rapaka?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, but I'll try to answer without boasting myself, right? We want to be very humble, but since my childhood, I'm a very curious person. I'm always excited about problems, right? And how to solve those problems. I still remember till 12th grade, we didn't have any electricity in India. And in the village was a very remote village, and we're doing various science projects, including generating electricity using wind. It's not a successful project, but which I'm proud about. But suddenly, I think it gave me a sense about curiousness and how to solve the problems. And one important thing about it also is my mom, right? And she instilled a lot of curiosity since we're young about how different great people have done various accomplishments and how it took the journey, which is unimaginable, but they did it, right? And that gives me a lot of strength in how I should put myself in and try to solve the problems. So every time that I try to do something, it's all about why, right? Why your customer needs this. It should always start from, and then what is the customer need is, and how you're developing for a customer. And that is a critical part that you always have to come up with. And that is your really the Bible and the guiding force of building a product. As long as you have these three strong pillars and you can answer those why, what, and how, then you start with it and you iterate, iterate till you get it right. And you will get it right if you have that sense of purpose of why.
Yeah.
And that's a big step in building any kind of startup.
Yeah,
and the key thing is initially, whenever you do startup, it's always about not knowing how it will work. So you need to have the design partners. And it's a very critical part in this journey is ability to test, ability to write the journey with them and solving the pain points. And once you do that, you know that your customers are loving the first few customers. And the next thing is all about scaling. How do I take this product and repeat across thousands of customers, right? And that is the real journey, right? From 1,000 to 10,000 customers. And that is how you build any kind of startup, especially in B2B or consumer oriented. But the key thing is always to start with the purpose and why, what, how should be answered to build any kind of a product that really impacts the customer's life.
So if I slightly double click on that, what is your advice to founders on getting it right about technologies which most people don't understand? For example, right now, the crypto space is like that. The quantum space is like that. Like most people struggle very hard to understand what is this state in quantum, what is a qubit, how can things be right and wrong at the same time, like they don't get it. But what's your advice to founders who get scared because of this complexity problem, they can't simplify to investor? How did you do it?
Yeah, I think really good question, and people do struggle. And my advice is don't think about technology at all, right? Technology is just a vehicle to solve a real problem. A real problem could be, how can we make drug discovery easier, right? How can we make cars autonomous? How do we understand our space, right? How do we understand our universe? What is there? 95% of the universe, we don't have any clue, and it can be seen.
Yeah.
Right? In the dark energy, dark matter, and all of that kind of stuff. How do we understand without understanding 95%? So the critical thing is always the problem, right? And when you understand deep about the problem and purpose behind the problem, I think you can explain in a very, very simple terms, right? You don't have to understand the deep learning, or you don't have to explain deep learning. As long as you can put a purpose around it, and then why you're building, right? How that can generate business, and why customer will take a dollar out of wallet to pay you, right? And that is a critical thing that you need to answer, not the technology. Technology is always a byproduct. It's a vehicle, but it's not the driver. The driver is always about you, right? About the customers, about why you're solving this problem. As long as you get that, trust me, you can use quantum technologies to deep learning. That's just a byproduct of it, Vidya.
Yeah. Today I was just reading in one of the news articles that they're creating a digital twin using some NVIDIA chip or NVIDIA technology of the Earth, which is very high memory, high capacity. I don't know if they're using AI for that, or probably some sort of supercomputer, probably, or quantum computer, one of those. So they're using some high technology for that. I don't know how much capacity is needed to create a digital twin of the Earth. I can't even imagine. But sounds like the problem of the black hole, which was, you described, a lot of memory, a lot of data to be crunched. And so along those lines, you did your AI startup Ecomtex, and you were at Next Door Neighbor, and now you are at Dragonfruit AI. So what are some of the challenges, like the top three challenges you ran into, when you did an AI startup, when you work with these AI senior level project commitments here in your current job? What are some of the challenges you face?
Yeah. So one of the biggest misperception about AI startup is that you need to have an end-to-end AI. Don't look into that. It's a trap, right? Building an end-to-end AI, which accomplishes a generic problem, is not technology. Is simply not there.
Right.
Not only technology, but even the hardware resources are not there. It's very, very complex to build 100% artificial intelligence systems. I think the only thing that closest is a human being. We're almost took 2 billion years to where we are today, right?
Yeah.
And it does take a lot of time to build such systems. So do not feel towards using deep learning the compulsion. You need to clearly tell yourself why you're using it, right? Because there are very simpler ways to solve also the problems that you're thinking from the deep learning perspective, right? So think about, there is a human encoded, knowledge-based systems, classical machine learning, and then rules, right? And then you have deep learning. So always see like where are these low-hanging fruits and use the right technology to solve that, right? Some are very easy to solve through deep learning if you have plenty of data, right? And if you don't plenty of data, it's not advisable at all. Don't feel compulsions to do that, right? And it's all about, think about how and where the technology can be viable, and how I can bring value to the customer. Because at the end of the day, it's customer who needs to be happy, not you, right? So if the customer thinks that you're solving the problem, irrespective of it's one line of code or 10 billions of line of code, it doesn't matter. For him, he will pay you when you are solving his problem. So think about that. Put that into always a perspective, not the technology, right? Try to build $1 billion business, not $1 billion technology. Nobody will pay $1 billion for simple technology. They will build for the business, right? Think about WhatsApp. It's a very simple app, but people paid tons of money because it was a business, right? Yeah. So that is the most important thing. And also, whenever you start deep learning projects, right, you got to be very sure about the data, right? The quality of the data is very, very important, and ability to hyper tune your models are very important as well. But I think one of the biggest challenges, again, we don't have a lot of data. We need a GitHub for data, right? Where people can download this data, big sets of data, work across it. We don't have it for now. I think the big companies do, but that is also in their own things. If we have to change something in the drug industry or in the industries like healthcare, we don't have the data at all, and it's very critical. And the other part is the technology as such, the hardware, right? People are thinking about NVIDIA and all of that. Trust me, if you put in NVIDIA machines and try to predict the molecule structure, right? Yeah. It will take probably all of the NVIDIA put together working towards simulating the structure of the molecule. It would take 100 years, right? So we're not, the technology hardware is also simply not there. I think the quantum computers is where something I'm very excited about, the ability of the qubits to be in the superposition, the ability to realize that, and the permutation, the combinations of it can solve at one point in time, right? And then you tunnel it to realize it, right? So that is something is very important for even machine learning. And I was looking at the IBM research the other day. They were building convolutional neural networks using quantum computers. So I think that is one area that is very exciting, right? The quantum computing, but it's too early and we don't have technology. So whenever you do any kind of AI startups, understand the purpose, and your customers won't pay if you're using the best AI technology or the simple rule model, right? They will pay for the problem.
Fantastic. So, Arvind, you spoke so much about AI as a technology, as a tool, as a business enabler. You also hinted at quantum technologies. What are your thoughts on projections for blockchain and cryptocurrency? They're the buzzwords right now, these platforms. And how will they intersect with AI? What's going to happen? Because some people say, quantum is going to disrupt blockchain. It's going to come and dissolve blockchain. So, is crypto and blockchain, is it going to dissolve AI, or are they going to work together? How is that going to pan out? This whole crypto, quantum, and AI, how is that going to pan out?
Yeah, all the bases, if you look into the crypto today, it's all about the encryption, right? If you can understand how this crypto is built in a really in less time, then I think you're pretty much you can see any information, right? So think about, right? If I say you, I give you a number, and then I give you two numbers, and that results into multiplying by the number, which is whatever X number, right? If I give you an X number and try to find you those factors, it is highly difficult problem, right? Mm-hmm. And because you have to go through numerous permutation combinations to find those two factors, right? If you give a very big number, which you need to find the two factors. That's exactly what the crypto, the encryption is all about, is not able to find the factors, right? And think about the quantum computers will come in, right? And really they can do simultaneous calculation because they are in a superposition mode, right? And the qubits could calculate at the same time all this various permutation combination rather than sequential.
So thank you, Arvind, for an amazing podcast. We love to have you back again. I'm sure I'm going to follow your work. I know you're at stealth mode startup right now. Once you make announcements, I'll definitely follow you, and I'll pass on your profile to all my mentees so they can see your profile, learn from you, and be like you one day. Thank you so much.
Don't ever advise be like someone, right? Be yourself. That's important. And yes, you can always have some inspirations, right? Mentors, that's very good, but be yourself. Don't try to imitate anybody because you're not someone, you are yourself. So that is one advice I want to give. Like, don't try to imitate anybody, not Jeff Bezos or even Bill Gates, right? Be yourself. You have your own strengths. They have their own strengths, right? They have their own weaknesses as well. So it's all about working towards what you want to be. And never focus on, that I want imitating rather than having them as an inspiration.
Right. So look up to Arvind Rapaka as an inspiration, all you youth entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. So point taken. And with that, I'll love to conclude a really amazing, mind-blowing podcast today. Thank you all for being part of this podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you, Vidya, and I really enjoyed the podcast and giving me an opportunity here.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much.